Hey, this is South Crouch, Indiana, the Lazy Bushman. This is part 2 of seasoning your cast iron pot. You saw the picture of what it looked like yesterday. This is what it looked like after I've put it in the fire and burnt the rust off of it, and then worked on it a bit. What I want to let you know is that after you get this and you do the second part of this and it's still too rusty, put it back in the fire, do it again. Another critical thing that you need to know about this is once you put it in the fire and it's reached the temperature of burning that rust off and taking it out, you need to set it off and let it cool. Do not pour water in it or else it will crack. Now, what I did to remove the rest of the rust out of the inner of this and get it prepared to season is I used a green scouring pad first, then I used a non-wet piece of sandpaper which removes the abrasive to give me a scrub for the inside of this to remove the rest of the rust, which I used 600 wet sandpaper then. You don't have to use that combination. You could use sand from a play box if you want to and a green scouring pad to get it where it is now. So the second part of this and what we're going to do is I'm using this grill to heat this pot up to use bacon grease, or you can use virgin olive oil, or you can use regular vegetable oil. Choice is yours. I like using bacon grease, so that's what I'm going to go with. So now I'm going to season the pot and I'll get back to you as soon as this pot's done. Alright, the pot's got hot enough that I can apply the grease to it now. Once again, you don't have to remove all the rust off this pot to season it. The seasoning on this pot, basically what it's doing is it's giving it a flavor when you're doing your cooking, and it's waterproofing this pot so that it's not rusting up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this grease over the entire thing. You can do this in the house and bake it in the oven on a cookie sheet if that's what you want to do. So now I'm going to get to seasoning. You want to season the whole inside of the pot completely. Just take a paper towel, cloth, and I'm going to season this entire pot. I'm going to season the outside of this pot too. Once you have this seasoned and it's ready to go, completely covered with your oil or your grease, I'm going to flip it upside down. Now I'm going to do the lid. One other thing to keep in mind, after your pot's been seasoned, when you cook something in it, if it's got sticky stuff in it, add water to it and bring it to a boil and wipe it out. Never use Dawn dish soap or anything on your cast iron, or you'll remove the oil that you've applied and baked in it. Now we're going to cover it up, let it season, and I'll do this 5-6 times, how many ever times it needs it to bring it out for the seasoning part of it, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. As you see, I've seasoned this pot with bacon grease. Matter of fact, I topped it off with some vegetable oil. This is going to still stay on the fire probably for another couple hours. I usually have them on the fire for 3 or 4 hours, or you bake them in the oven for 3 or 4 hours. You can still see a little bit of the rust in it, but by the time it's done, it'll be ready to eat off of. That little bit of rust that you see in there will get darker and darker each time you use it, to the point that it looks like this one right here. This pan here was the exact same as this pan here, and I've used this pan cooking at least 20-30 different times. You can see how dark it's getting. It almost looks like a brand new pan. So there you have it. That's how you season a pot when you buy one at the thrift store that's rusted. Thank you, thumbs up, subscribe.